Let me give a little bit of background and motivation for this seminar. As you may know, as of this year, we are starting a new undergraduate degree program in the university, Data Science and Analytics. So one motivation, and the main motivation, has been this. And the first speaker of the for Uğur Bey, I don't know if you learned this, was Cem Mansur, the music artist, who told us about the relation between data and music with historic perspective. So this was a very nice talk, and today another nice talk is expecting us. And just a little information about the program is, you may be aware, the university is very keen on interdisciplinary approach, both in research and education, and this new program is also designed in a similar spirit, and the speakers are also reflecting this, as you see. So we had a speaker from, an art, and now we have a speaker from industry and very relevant sectors. So just a brief information about Uğur Bey, Uğur Candan. So he's the managing director of SAP Turkey. Plus, he's been one of the founders of SAP Turkey in the early 2000s, right?
I was lucky enough to be there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call
so
it founder.
This is 2001, as I know. So when SAP Turkey was being established, so he's been with the company for quite some time. He has a bachelor's degree from Boğaziçi University and master's from Nottingham University. And today, his official title is Restless Change of Enterprise Applications Market, the Impact of AI. So we're eager to hear. Thanks for accepting our invitation.
Thank you. It's an honor being here.
We have the luxury of asking questions. You can ask anything. I don't know whether I will be able to show anything related to the subject or not, because yes, SAP Turkey had started in 2001, but actually I started working for SAP in the university laboratory. Design thinking or makers lab. I was more or less working in SAP laboratory in Nottingham University. And before that, when I was a graduate student, I was working for the lab in Boğaziçi University in the industrial engineering department for ERP systems. Welcome on board. I think the voice is much clearer now. Thank you. Thank you. Is it okay? He is not happy with the sound. I can read it from his. Maybe I should speak louder so that you can at least get the sound from the whatever in the room. Since '96, I have been functioning as a SAP consultant. So yes, I'm the managing director. This is, to be honest, this is not a role that we should be proud of, because I lost connection to the customers, to be honest. Until last 5 years, I am deeply connected to all those industries. I will name some of those customer cases. And I've been operating as an engineer in the field. Just some numbers and facts and figures, what SAP does, and then I will switch the microphone to you to collect some questions, because it is imperative that I answer your questions. And we want to discuss, as a rule of thumb, the impact of AI, because that's the that is the game changer. Since my childhood, I do see internet, mobility, that there are so many other game changers that we can mention, like social media, Bitcoin, you name what, but out of all those ones, I think being connected to web was something, a breakthrough that I made my nerves shake when I first got onto a PC, or it was not even a PC, it was a terminal screen that I could type something on, and the guy next to the planet, on the other side of the planet Earth, were able to read it real time. It was not even ICQ back then, it was a terminal screen, typical IRC requests that is going to be reflected on the other side of the planet. That made me shiver, and then came along the web browsers. And then it was the mobile device that changed our world. Now it is more important than our purse when we go out of the mall. You can even wouldn't care less if you forget your car keys, but we never go out with them. And then now it is the AI. I think this is the third wave that predominantly will change everything that we see around us. The discussion that I want to fire on is all about actually you being present in the future, because for the audience they might not see the population's age, but there's a young group of people, forget about us on the other side of the equation, over 50 years old, but you will be executing in a world that is completely different once you are 20 or 25 years of seasoned leaders in your companies, in your territories, in your function areas. What should be the one, what should you expect, and what can you get prepared to do? I will give it as an example of SAP. SAP is a 50-year-old company, doing nothing but solving business problems since day one. We had not been founded like a shoe company and then transformed into an IT company. No. 4 guys established a company. They had I would call a constitution saying that whatever we do should be real time. That was 1972. That should be integrated, and we should nail it down into the product so well that nobody could dare changing that constitutional law after 50 years. That is why, until we came up with some marketing terminology as IT companies, SAP R/3, three-tier architecture. It was not a three-tier architecture. It was resembling something future-looking, and then we dropped that three. Everybody thought it was a version number. No, it was one of those items that represented slicing data, application, and front-end logic into 3 pillars. I'm talking about 1972. That might look obvious today, but no other IT company even had a vision like this. And real time, when the company was established, I wouldn't name the brand, but you would know as the most well-known brand back then in the infrastructure, told our engineers that there is no such compute power on planet Earth to run a company, financials, logistics, human resources into one single instance integrated. There was no such compute power. They are daydreaming. They established a company that would fail radically was the comment they put on the table. Because their customers was asking for infrastructure and the software that SAP was coding back then was not able to scale on those infrastructure components. Because they were designing something for the future. Once again, dear colleagues, dear friends, you need to design your life, because that life would not be able to be executed now, but it would be able to be executed in the future. This is what they did in 1972. This is a rare example, and the DNA of the company comes from this first level engineering. Second, we always executed in the field. No single code of SAP components had been written in the laboratory. Yes, we do have labs. Yes, we do have 17 labs. Yes, out of 120 headcount that we have, 1/3 is developers. Yes, the internal development is just a minuscule piece of worldwide millions of developers out there developing an our platform. We are the far ahead largest development framework used by industry. It is not even AWS, it is not even Microsoft. They are just catching up the way with the cloud, and we want to outsource them some stuff. I will mention them also. But long story short, industry knowledge of this company had been predominantly coming from the reason that we were fighting the business challenges of the decade. Every decade the challenge was changing. Now I think every 2 years, 3 years it is changing, by the way. But back then, every decade there was another, either everybody was trying to grow, either everybody was trying to protect P&L, either everybody was trying to protect headcount, either everybody was trying to protect IP rights. The name of the game was different on planet Earth due to the time, due to where you live in on this planet. But long story short, 50 years doing the same thing, and at the end of the game, by the way, it is so engineering that they were discussing what should we put as a name to our company. You know what they did? What we are going to do? We are going to do applications over systems, and that will solve problems. So systems, applications, and product. Yes, that's what we are going to do. SAP, system, application, product. It was in German, but in English is the same thing. It was so obvious what they wanted to do, and ever since we are doing the same thing. Now, where are we now? Where are we now? First of all, the new operating system of this planet, we don't have life around beyond this planet at this moment in time, as we know, maybe there is. But currently, in this planet, back then, it was the operating system, database management system. We, again, in our constitution says we should be calling things that is not locked to neither operating system nor a database vendor. So that's why we were known to be an application vendor. And that was the segment I would argue SAP created. We are an application vendor. We don't want to do database, we don't want to do systems, we don't want to do hardware. Still, SAP does not own a single piece of hardware manufacturing on this planet. And we just want to do applications over the operating system and database layers. Is now back to cloud game. It is the hyperscalers. Now those hyperscalers, you call it Azure, you call it AWS Cloud, you call it GCP, Google Cloud Platform, you call it Alibaba. Those are the new operating systems of this planet. So it is, of course, the capacity is beyond what we used to call operating system. But it is a set of tools available to everybody on a subscription basis. Subscription basis means tomorrow morning, everybody has access to the same thing. This is the game changer of the AI. I hope we will not remove it. You never know. Maybe we will unplug this game at some point. I had the luxury of downloading the kernel of, back then it was an open source component, ChatGPT loaded onto an infrastructure rented on the other side of the planet. Give it a try myself, my own self. As of today, very few brands. You can still do it, but not with ChatGPT for sure. But you can still, trial and error is for scale now. When I was at your age, going to, even I was a freshman or sophomore, you call it, when I was in university, I will be very open, we were stealing books from, not the library of Boğaziçi, from the people using systems. The systems manuals were so precious that we had to somehow sneak through the operating IT rooms of those providers, customers using those providers, and sneak away their manuals to learn how to code, what is the syntax, what is that. We live to it. It is like a joke, I know, but we live to it. Go to any such, it's not relevant to myself, go to any IT industry member at my age, they would all do the same because it was not available. Today it is all available. So what is available? This, we call it business technology platform, but let's call it the platform game. Platform games here And now it has the AI component. It was like this for quite some time, for the last decade. Now AI is part of the platform. For any vendor, for SAP's BTP platform, let me give my example. It is no different than any other vendor. Due to strategy, there are flavors, of course. If you go to Microsoft, it's only ChatGPT or friends of ChatGPT. If you go to BTP of SAP, you have 22 different LLM models ready to be launched on demand for your need on the fly. You can immediately compile a question. You can immediately fire an LLM model, name it Anthropic, name it Alfalfa, name it ChatGPT, name it Gemini, name it whatever the model, name it Cohere. We have to know that. Knowing ChatGPT only is important, using is very important, but we have to know where the fight is. Nobody can argue any of those 22 models, large language models, who will be the winner. The bigger ones tends to be getting bigger and bigger due to sheer size of number crunching and learning, faster learning algorithms. But in the future, what we believe, we should give a platform to our user base. SAP is not investing in a large language model. I will mention where we are investing. Because we segmented ourselves, we are investing in the process models. Large process models is the name of the game for us. That's why we are investing heavily to redesign vector databases that could understand not only text, not only video, not only photography or graphics, but also relationship records on a massively scaled database. We currently have 400,000 of tables that are connected to relations over probably millions or billions of records types. So in order to run a business on 25 different industries with 4 or 5 different flavors, you need to have a massively integrated platform, requires it. So long story short, platform game is here, it's available for everybody, we have to make use of it, AI is plugged in there, and there are of course core components. Forget about this ERP, that's probably the acronym BSA as SAP being created on this planet. As an enterprise, you need to plan your resources, it is the enterprise resources planning piece, but the core enterprise resources and planning needs to be integrated to internal and external workforce. It's not just your workforce, it's internal and external. Nobody is working on an island. It needs to be connected to your business network. Business network is fired by spend activities. So business network, human capital management, and to your customers. This is your procurement network, this is your sales network in a sense. Both marketing, sales, and service type of components. And every single piece of this equation is designed on the same BTP platform that is fully agnostic of your language that you're coding. You can code in any language that is able to call and standardize API or a web service from this connected platform. And then there is an ecosystem of solutions that use the same platform to enhance and add additional functionality to the platform. This is where currently this IT landscape is all about. We are number 2 in CRM globally in terms of every year's net new revenue. I do not compare SAP with companies that are newly established because 50 years of experience. We measure SAP's presence by resetting the market in the beginning of the year and remeasuring everything by the end of the year. So the numbers that I'm giving you is 12 months rolling. 12 months rolling, number second, number one, for quite some time number one. So we are either number 1 or number 2 in the field of BTP, number 3. We are either in the leaders quadrant or the third leader in the industry. Overall, as a platform, we call it the business suite because you cannot run your business. This is why I said it was some sort of a constitution. The guys founding the company said, we will do something that will be totally integrated. If there is a human capital or human resources need as a functionality or a problem, we would not code it yes, we will code it independently. Yes, it can be integrated to non-SAP software components, but as a business suite, there will be seamless integration from the off-the-shelf as an off-the-shelf product or a functionality. I used to call it off-the-shelf because since my childhood, I was buying software off-the-shelf. There is no off-the-shelf anymore. On-demand is the new term. On-demand should be integrated. I'm still backloading my memories and using them as wording. No, it's not off-the-shelf. On-demand, on-fly, when it is needed, until the time it loses its presence or importance or availability. This is where we are. Back to some numbers about Turkey, so that you would be knowing Turkey ecosystem. There are roughly 15,000 SAP consultants. The smallest partner of SAP had implemented 10-fold more projects from my nearest competitor in Turkey. Because experience, it's not the software, it's not the platform, it's not the code, it's not the AI. It is number of trials that you do makes me different. Proud to say, smallest partner of mine had implemented 10-fold more projects compared to all implementations of my competitor. And this is not a typical statistics for Planetary. We have been predominantly acting in Turkey since 96 through a distributor. Yes, 2001, the subsidiary started. But 96 to 2001, we predominantly acted like a sole brand owner in Turkey. And currently, out of the top 100, 84% runs on cloud software components of SAP. Not only use SAP, but use the most relevant subscription-based on-demand components of SAP. And then, yes, we have 250 headcount in Turkey, one office in Istanbul, one office in Ankara, but out of this, 15,000 is a critical mass. And out of this 15,000, every single morning, I'm not that proud to say this is statistics, but this is reality, 5,000 of them, 1/3, boots up their PC like mine here, logs into their customer on the other side of the planet. Concurrently, Turkey-based consultants run projects in China. At this moment, this morning, I'm talking about this morning, in China, in US, in Romania, in Kazakhstan, I'm just trying to recall my calendar in the last maybe two weeks' time. So, fortunately, it's unfortunate from my perspective because I want those brain powers to be rooted into Turkish companies' problems. But nevertheless, Unilever, nobody would know, but majority of those large customers, consumer product customers running on this part of the planet, half of the systems are configured by Turkish people in the last 25 years as an accumulation. I wouldn't recall the names, I will not call out names because I am recorded, but majority of the consumer food and beverage consumer products, if you go to any retailer and see the multinational brands, majority of them have Turkish consultants' footprint. If you go to automotive supplier parts production, it is the same thing. The majority of the gigantic brands has footprint. But this will be my opening. I will leave the stage to you. If you unwind me, I can talk for hours. So the first question is the difficult one. Now I will, not to forget, I will just take small notes, but I'll fire away your first 5 questions.
Background.
what you're referring to is probably young professionals program that we are, this is a SAP terminology. Yes, I will talk about good catch, the young professional program. I will mention about this one. Tomorrow there is a graduation ceremony. On Monday there is another graduation ceremony. We will add another 50 consultants to the field. Good catch. Another question. This is two. Let's go for the first 5 so that I can answer them in batches of 5.
One more, if you don't mind. So we have some ecosystem for the startups.
Startup ecosystem.
Yeah.
Startup ecosystem. Good catch. Another one. Some more difficult questions. Come on. It doesn't need to be about SAP. It doesn't need to be about technology. Anything. Feel free to shoot.
So my question is SAP control companies. Could I have some experience before, like one was just trying to integrate SAP and they had problems and they were nearly going bankrupt because of the money they paid for that service. Secondly, another company, while I was working as an auditor, they were adopting SAP. It was one of the beverage companies' biggest ones actually. Yeah, it took several years to make the adoption. I didn't got the use of, I mean, why did they change that system completely? Because it was actually they had a useful system and they moved to SAP. So basically, is it for all companies?
Is it for all companies, all sizes of companies? I will put it this way. So I'm repeating it so that for the recording, the voice, and for my understanding and for the recording also. So SAP users are top companies, gigantic companies that could afford gigantic transformations that span over years. Is this true that this is the storyline? Might be the question. Am I correct? Okay. Let me say size versus project. First batch, last question. Yes, sir. This time, I think it's working.
Okay, maybe a controversial question. Do you think that one day AI will take over SAP consultants?
This was the question that I was expecting. Excellent question. And I think I will. This is why I put the name how the AI will change the equation. I will even put it at a further state. 2 weeks ago, before the elections, today the elections are done in US. After elections, the second discussed question in IT industry in US was, what would be the first 3 software or cloud components that would be wiped from the industry? That was a long debate. That was it suddenly skyrocketed due to some vendors having a gigantic shows, and the show time was about to come. But good, this is the DNA of the presentation that I want to discuss. But good, thank you for helping me out to answer this question. Okay, let me start with the easy ones. Background and young professional programs are a bit connected because how we select in young professional program is an exemplary behavior of how SAP consulting army grows in a country. First of all, for the general audience, top 2, I would name, even looking at the top 10 undisputed leaders of consulting in Turkey. If I were to name, I would not name them, but everybody has a different top 10 for sure, being friends with different people. But looking at this top 10, you would have colleagues graduated from oceanography. Nothing to do with neither computer nor science. Yes, science of course, but not computer science. Or Yes, now it is very connected, but back 25 years ago, I would argue it was not that connected. Physics, mathematics, still available in the top 10 list. Of course, industrial engineering, mechanical engineering in the top 10 list. But out of looking at this DNA of those top 10 people in that list, there is only one common denominator. Neither the name of the university, nor the name of the college, nor the degree that they have. Some have masters, some have doctorate, some do not have a graduate degree. Funny enough, some of them do not have. Just one, of course, but still, I do argue, still a meaningful percent, 1 in 10. Is their willingness to invest time and effort to learn extraordinary stuff that is not documented anywhere. Back then, that was the question. It was not documented. I was part of a laboratory in my university, working over a competitor of SAP in ERP, having full documentation. But in the top university of Turkey, we didn't have access to the documentation of SAP, for example. So back then, that was the challenge. I don't know this equation will hold true for future. Having said this, I don't speculate that this is the way to be done. No, I don't know. But that was the case up until now. Their depth and breadth of living day and night, how to solve complex problems. Once again, they were reputable not because they were good consultants. They are still reputable because they solved very difficult industrial problems. Once they walk into the past company, majority of their C-levels would just graduate, thank them, put them on the best part of the boardroom because they solved gigantic business problems of that company. We lived through it. There had been times that some companies had major hiccups. I wouldn't call them failures or learnings from learning experiences, but some of them had some extremely wild professional positive experiences. And this reflects into our young professional program selection. Please follow young professional programs keyword. We announce whenever there is an open such opportunity, day one, our HR systems populate that message to LinkedIn. Once there is an YPP program, immediately the system fires a blog post saying that we are going to open this program, we are going to open this position. And sometimes people call me, Uğur, you are opening this. I said, no, I don't know whether we are opening or not. It is still under approval. No, once it is approved, people learn even before myself. Somebody internal learns it from even internet because it is real-time connected. Once we say, yes, it is approved, it is published. It is so instantaneous. And you sometimes learn faster than myself. And the selection process is done globally. We do not select locally. We do not train locally. The program is governed globally. In China, it's the same program. It is Turkey, same program. It is the same tutor that executes the program. It's the same program. Roughly 2 to 3 months. You all not only learn SAP functionality, you need to be a fresh graduate. We do not accept in the young professional program itself, we do not accept people from professional life because the main idea is to onboard fresh graduates into consulting world of SAP. Before the graduation, we do like you do in your university, career days, and out of one, I have been doing it since I became the managing director. Back then there was other programs, similar ones. Out of one colleague, due to personal reasons, he shifted to another environment. They are all part of companies running SAP systems. So you tend to get onboarded into those companies even before graduation. It is cost-free for the receiving party. It's fully 100% funded by SAP itself. Once again, just due to cost, I do not discount on the resources, because cost of resource flying to here and presenting or educating the cohort, as we call it, is covered, and it is the same standard ever. Going to the third question, for the startups, depending on the year, I received this question, startup ecosystem, and I will need to show you something so that it nails down into your mind through the system. This ecosystem solutions, yes, we have gigantic partners, even partners that outweigh our own sheer size. As SAP is 120, but on this planet probably there's 2 to 3 million of developers only, not only working for SAP, but also working for our partners and customers. Those solutions, you have the established ones and you have the emerging ones. Depending on the time of the decade, for example, if I had to answer this question 2 to 5 years ago, SAP has an investment capacity called Sapphire Ventures. Sapphire Ventures were either the first or the second largest venture capitalists operating in Silicon Valley. So we even have investments through this arm. Yes, Sapphire is our largest events name, by the way. It is some sort of an affiliation with the company. It's not fully affiliated because we don't want to be seen like SAP startup company. And we have foundries. I'm also trying to start a foundry in Istanbul, which we have not succeeded yet, but there are foundries, and those foundries out of COVID are networked globally, and I don't believe there is any sense of creating a foundry. A foundry does not apply or operate locally anyway. But long story short, we significantly invest in startups, and SAP is the only company that acquires we start with a startup relationship, and by the end of the tunnel, we give them an offer. This is, for example, how. Let me give you a real story. Does anybody recall the name? What can I give as an example? One of those competitors is Palantir, but Palantir was not established like this. In the growth of Palantir, Palantir was a startup when we started cooperating with them. When they had roughly 30 to 40 headcount, I don't know if you know the company, Palantir, for example. Once then, it was a small scale operations. They were partner of SAP, but then at some point in time they grew so fast and so big that they became another significant vendor in IT industry, a unicorn, a decacorn then. Another good example that was more or less a spin-off of a department in SAP was a competitor of Palantir. Signavio was one of them. We acquired them. We started with a partnership. We had done deliveries with them internally and externally. And at the end of the tunnel, it was an acquisition, and it is part of the portfolio. But back to how the world is changing, maybe I should show you this one so that you can at least visualize the importance of, let me see where it is. For example, I mentioned about Signavio.
You're introduced to ESSEC.
I will not show you. I will just show you. First, let me just tell you what you need to understand from the video. We can put it back. As of today, maybe a connection to the next question or the last question. Then I will come to the size also, because that's also relevant to the size. AI makes life so easier that a mama-papa company can use the most complex software there is on planet Earth. That is the statement that I want to prove to you at the end of the game. But going back to the AI question, would AI change our life? Yes, it would. Would AI replace consultants? I am sorry to say, yes, it would. At what percentage? I don't know. But I will show you something that is being replaced as of now, totally. Some part of consulting. If you had asked this question to me 3 years ago, Uğur, get of them in a room, come to my office, analyze my SAP system, analyze my business, and create a forward-looking change management program for myself, looking at my data, analyzing my data, based on facts that are represented in an SAP system, or any system. At this moment, yes, I represent SAP, of course. Usually people ask SAP questions to me. On an SAP system. I had to work at least 3 months to 5 months with those 5 people, one from HR, one from procurement, one from manufacturing, one from finance, one from data and analytics. Analyze, slice and dice, measure, benchmark, see where it goes, see where it is today, go and learn what is going to be the future-looking company's perspective in the competition landscape tomorrow. Map those initiatives that would take them there. Out of those initiatives, map those difficulties with the current footprint and current reality to this new reality that they have to, and come up with a program. That would, in the minimum, take me 5 people 3 months. What I am going to show you, they tested this scenario in, I think it was not Deutsche Post, a post office. We will see the logo momentarily, on the largest postal company using SAP in Europe. And it took them 14 minutes to come up with this report, much better than what I could have done with those 5 colleagues, including myself, in 3 months. 14 minutes. What it does, the system that I'm going to show you, the screens and the slice and dice of the data would represent, first, it connects to your SAP system, drags the essence of your problems, understands where your problems are. Is it in procurement? Is it in production? Is it in sales? Is it in treasury? Is it in investments? And then maps them over KPIs and puts those KPIs in a competitive list compared to your benchmark group in your industry. Because looking at a retailer and looking at a production company wouldn't make sense. So in your industry, suppose you are a chemicals manufacturing company producing paints in Turkey. Then this is segmentation. The system benchmarks you over those high-level KPIs. Those your competitors are open to market. We can slice and dice their financial results, and see where you're red, where you are green, and then in terms of total value attached to this problem, let's say you want to solve top 10 problems. You have to make sure those problems represent a gigantic improvement value. So importance of a problem should be connected to the value that it brings once it's solved. It can be a very important problem for the employee base, but once solved, might have a small P&L impact. So building up the roadmap from the P&L back to the problem, mapping those problems in the sense of importance, this is called value engineering. You put the values associated with the problems. The system generates this as KPIs. You will see it's 1-star, 2-star, 5-star problem. So at least you understand that a 2-star problem is less important than a 3-star or 4-star problem. Maps it. You can sort it with the importance level. It puts the difficulty level. It might be that it brings value, but it is also difficult to solve. But it brings value, so the TCO is how much energy you need to put to get this output. Maybe some other smaller problems could be solved like this, and the value proposition could be a low-hanging fruit, as we call it. So in terms of importance, in terms of timeline, it sorts out. The third column, it says in order to solve this problem, you can use this standard functionality. It knows what SAP is able to do. Knowing your problem, it writes you a subscriptive solution saying that, oh, this module is not configured right, or you're not using this functionality, use it and solve it. This medicine kills this pain. Something like this, if you are a doctor. And then, if there is no standard functionality, or there is further improvement points, it says, out of my startup ecosystem, or established partner ecosystem, I have those solutions, plug and play, out of the cloud, plug and enable type of implementation is available, and you can switch on and start using that partner solution talk to my partner. I don't know how they price the software, but at least I give you a possible list of other vendors in my ecosystem that can solve the problem. Fourth column, there are 100, just to give you an idea, there are 100 AGI, generative AI functionalities available today in SAP system. You can do 2 generative AI projects in a company, and you cannot complete all the available Gen AI functionalities in an SAP system as of today, and it will be 200 by the end of Q1 next year. But long story short, it also sorts those AI functionalities are able to answer your questions. It gives you this one also. And at the end of the tunnel, it says, oh, I'm sorry, there is neither a currently available AI functionality, nor there is currently an available robotic process automation, nor there is a partner, nor there is a SAP standard functionality. But I can open you a white space, and you can use my platform, like my partners or myself coding my own software components. You can code it, and this is where you need to code and solve your problem. So think about it. I mean, from all dimensions, standard functionality, partner functionality, AI usage, robotic process automation, and I'm sorry, I couldn't find anything. You can open up a white space and start solving it as if you're an SAP developer. This is what we are going to see as a report here. And it took 14 minutes from the first plug, first login, until they get the answer. How do I maximize this one? So those are the, I need to articulate a bit. There are zillions of recommended actions. Those recommended actions are, some of them are fully automated. You can plug and say, do this customizing for me. Industry popularity and relevance. Relevance for you. And this is relevant, but less important due to sheer size of the total output. The value proposition is low. You can click and rank depending which business line. Sales and R&D impacted by this one. Yes, impact is 3 stars. So you can it's not a full report with your solutions, and it is also a rank solution. So standard capabilities, 42 standard capabilities within the list solves it. It links to standard documentation. Maybe I can just pause a bit here. Just give me a. It says 43 standard capabilities, 51 intelligent technologies, both robotic process automation and AI functionality. Answers are found. 6 automations, workflow type of automations beyond typical robotic process automation for one step, but a stepwise automation spanning standard functionalities are available. And this is the previous version. In the next step, it says my partner solution. So in 14 minutes, that gigantic company got this documentation in hand. And this is free of charge. Once again, this is how the world is changing. This was the most expensive consulting service you could imagine. This for 3 months, 5 green berets coming to my office doing this work was the most precious consulting service ever, if you ask me, that a customer or a user could acquire, and it's not free. And I bet you some of our colleagues are arguing otherwise, but I'm on this side. I'm sincere on my bet. The report will be better than what would have been done by those colleagues of mine. And once again, this is how the world is changing. It is free of charge. We charge for the usage. And back to your question, does SAP size for smaller market? Yes. 51% of the user base globally is having less than 1,000 employees. In Turkey, the smallest customer of mine, including the assistant of the owner, has 5 employees. We can size down to a mama papa shop, and the largest customer is the largest single entity for Turkey. They also use SAP. So from 100,000 or millions to there are customers who have million employees on this planet. We have customers as big as this one. From million to a few handful is the sizing area. So at this, if you had asked this question to me 15 years ago, I would have given a totally different answer. But as of now, seeing this, feeling this, and back to maybe a comment on the configuration. We used to, as I said, I was also a consultant. We were coming into an office, asking, what's your problem? I'm writing down how we understood the problem. In the first phase, this is how we understood the problem was the first phase. We called it the as-is state. To be state was the second phase. This is how you are, right? Yes, we answer. The second phase was, we want to build a system like this to be in the future. Are we on the same page? Yes. This was another 3 months effort. Then this to be document was configured in the system. First time ever, after 3 steps, the real problem owners was seeing the system real life working in front of them. And they were panicking, what kind of a system, open system is it? I have not told you this. Who told you that the dialogue was starting? As of today, it's a totally different approach. We used to call this approach as accelerated SAP methodology. Now we call it activated. We do not ask if somebody comes and says, tell me what you're doing and I could improve it. No, don't tell anything. I should be the one knowing. I have 440,000 use cases or users as a companies on this planet. 1,400 of them are in Turkey. Once again, 440,000 over 50 years. I have been doing practice. I should know at least something, right? If somebody comes with a blank eye, with a blank piece of paper, that means either he had not or she had not done the homework well, or you should run away from that room. We should come and say, this is how we view your business. This is how we did. This is how we implemented in your industry. Benchmarking through this system. This is how I see you. You might argue otherwise. I mean, you might say, okay, this problem is much important than that, whatever. But I have a point of view. We do not start from a blank page, and you should not allow people to write code in the system, because this system is so open and so powerful. We were probably the only vendor that has the ability to download its code. Once again, all SAP code in SAP S400, the ERP component or any other component, you can click and download the code. Imagine a software producer giving away its most precious intellectual property free of charge. Since day one it was like this. 50 years we have been giving it. Why? The difference between downloading a code versus maintaining a code, we tend to argue that we are much faster, much better than any other, I wouldn't call it competitor, any other entity that is able to answer. We give this as a credential, so that because you're also giving away very important activities to SAP, you should know clearly what's going on. Imagine yourself pressing a button and going down into the code of Excel, trying to understand what in that moment Excel is doing in the memory. In SAP you can do it. In any moment, if you have the right, pushing F1, F4, you will be there. Two steps. 2 buttons, you're there. What is the memory? How does the variables look like? What is it reading? Which part of the software component is being? What is the code that it's going to run in the next step? If you push the enter button, it shows you what's the code that it will run. Such a psychopath environment. Somebody who has some passion to know about software development, software lifecycle management, I would argue they should come and visit how SAP code is maintained. Not Java, I am sorry to say, not Python, I am sorry to say, no other modern language, I am sorry to say. They have no clue what they are working on. 50 years we have been making version management over systems of 440,000 customers. There is no such statistics for any development platform on planet Earth. Once again, I'll be very clear on this. You have to see it by yourself. Still, no other platform has such a capability. I would argue, you can challenge me on this, I am good. What I'm stating here are my beliefs. They can be challenged. They can be falsified. Maybe they are false. But at least I have a claim. Back to the original question, life is changing. If I have time, I'll go for the second 5 batch. If not, we will conclude here, whatever is your preference. In the world that we are going to live, consulting, development, and runtime would concurrently change. Not one will change. Yes, consulting practice will change, but customer demand will change. Because seeing this, the customer would demand, let me just switch the power on and solve this problem. The demand will be there. People or technology vendors or consultants being able to do it will survive. Not being able to do it, coming up with a roadmap for 12 months. 3 years, when I started SAP in 96, the first project of my first project timeline was 3 years. In 2001, there was an argument, anything more than 12 months wouldn't work, was the motto, not only for SAP, for any IT project. And now, I would claim otherwise. Switching on should be the name of the game. Are we there? Technically, yes. But physically, I would argue no, because none of those core components are unfortunately clear. Everybody was trying to solve their problem with the current landscape, and nobody was looking at how the landscape would look like in the next 5 years. The time they were able to use the software components with full power, first year implementation, second year adaptation, third year perfection, fourth year you're the master. Once you were mastering, the technology were on a different platform. So we should all know that if you took the root of those 4 steps, doing, learning, mastering, and perfection steps of a life cycle of any software code, it's not related to this. Any software code runs like this. Don't ask me why. This is the reality as of today. If you still live like this, once the time comes for perfection, people would be non-started. Fresh starts even could take you over because they are starting from a fresh ground. So leapfrogging, jumping beyond the competition is the name of the game. Please, 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 when you graduate, design systems, design processes, design companies, design go-to-market strategies, design anything that could leapfrog your company. In Turkey, we need to leapfrog. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I want to end. It is more relevant than, I am sure to say, any part of this planet, other than any part of this planet, is more relevant today in this geography. We need to leapfrog. And what knowledge is available in any developed market is available today in my house, in front of my high school kid. Seriously, high school kid. I was developing software components since my childhood. I had the luxury of having access to compute power. I was lucky, pure luck. But still, I cannot code as good as I was coding in the age of 15. Once again, I look at my codes back then. And it was done on a 32 kilobyte system. 32 kilobyte. It's peanuts today. And I'm still shocked. Because the brain had no problems to worry about, no this, no that, pure concentration, knowing nothing. So we need to leapfrog with this. Being in that state is sometimes an advantage. We have to capitalize on this advantage to leapfrog our competition. That's my main takeaway. And the time is here. Functionality is there, not only for SAP, for all the vendors out there. What I speak about SAP is also true for other vendors, don't get me wrong. Thank you for the kindness and the patience of listening to me.